I think with ad people, the one thing that I've noticed is that there does seem to be a lot of personalized attention. I've worked with companies in the past where I had a direct rep, but they were pretty unresponsive via email. Whenever I would have my monthly calls or whatever with them, they seemed sort of disorganized and not really to understand my business and not remember things that we talked about prior. Whereas my experience with ad people, and especially with you, Jason, has been you are very on top of things. You know exactly what's going on with the account. You remember the things that we talked about prior. And I think that's been a refreshing change. I would say, at least in my experience so far, they seem to have a lot of experience, obviously, working with the platforms that I work with. And I think, regardless of whether the businesses are based in the UK or the US, it seems like you guys have a very good handle on exactly what needs to be done to optimize and get the best results on platforms like Shopify, Google, all the typical places that I've worked with. So I would say that regardless of you being based in the UK, I haven't seen that as a detriment to my business and the platforms that I work with here in the US. Working with Jason has been very impressive, honestly. He's extremely dedicated to our account and to the business. Just hearing about the things that he does, like, for example, when he was going on holiday and planned to spend it learning about the new Shopify platform and understanding all of the details just to be able to serve his customers better. I don't think you'll find too many reps that are that dedicated to their job and that dedicated to the success of their clients. So regardless of whether I would spend my holiday that way, I'm definitely very impressed that ad people's reps are that dedicated. It's been obviously at the beginning incredibly strong. For the first month to two, we saw ROAS results that were almost an order of magnitude beyond our goals. And I think naturally, as with anything, it's started to trail off a little bit, and we're having to work a little bit harder to continue acquiring new clients and stuff. I also happen to work in a business that's very seasonal, and we're sort of fighting the seasonality of the business, being in the automotive and motorcycle space. So I've been very impressed with the ROAS, and I think early on, obviously it's easier. Like right off the bat, we were seeing results that were incredible, and then where the real work comes in is a few months down the line, like maintaining that momentum and everything. So I've been very impressed with your dedication to maintaining that momentum, even if the results are not spectacular in these months as compared to the very beginning. Honestly, for me, I like having the early morning meetings, so the time difference has been just about perfect. I try to get all my work sort of batched and done first thing in the morning. So, um, honestly, Jason, I know that you've taken a lot of calls like very near the end of your workday or even after what would be the end of your workday. So at least working with you, I've seen that you're willing to work around my schedule and have meetings at times that make sense for both of us. So in my opinion, no, it hasn't impacted our ability to work together at all. I would say from the very beginning, working with Holly, the sales rep, and then working with you, I do love how we've been able to sort of dive deep into the Google dashboards and go through some of this data and kind of understand how different settings impact the results that are displayed. There have been several occasions where I was sort of impressed that we went through a dashboard, for example, and either Holly or yourself would show me, if we ticked this box, it would show a much better result than reality. But just to show something, just to be able to actually transparently show the data, we're going to leave this box unticked and we're going to actually give you the real number. Like a lot of that is people that don't know the dashboards that well or aren't that familiar with it, I think would tend to just leave things on the default, and then perhaps you'll see something that's not really aligned with reality. Whereas I feel like you guys have done a really good job of explaining all of those different ways that the data can be displayed, and you've really made it easy to digest and easy to understand. I felt honestly that, especially you, Jason, like you've really taken the time to understand the business and the products that I offer. It's felt very personalized. Um, obviously I know you guys are working with a ton of clients, and it's got to be hard to keep up that level of personal attention, but I think you've done an incredibly good job of it. I've been very impressed so far. I would absolutely recommend add people to any business based in either US or the UK. You guys have been delivering obviously fantastic results, from the ROAS numbers to just the communication to the personalized attention that I've gotten. I haven't seen any downside to you guys being based in the UK. You've been willing to work with me on my schedule. You've been very communicative, and the results speak for themselves. So I would absolutely recommend you guys to any business, especially a small business looking to grow in this space that doesn't necessarily have a grasp on all the intricacies of the Google Ads and the Shopify platform. I think I would probably tell them, go with someone that whenever you talk to them, it just feels like you're talking to a friend. Don't fall for any obvious just sales speak, and don't look for a business that's just flouting its results with thousands of clients. I mean, those types of businesses tend to be the ones that are just purely a numbers game. They're trying to just get as many clients as possible and trying to lock down accounts, and it's not necessarily about giving the personalized attention. I think whenever I had my initial calls with Holly and my initial calls with you, it just felt like I was speaking with a friend who I could be honest with, and we just had a normal discourse and a normal conversation. And I think the fact that Ad People hires people like you shows the kind of company that they are, because they're looking for people who are just normal human beings who can have a conversation and are friendly and can communicate well. So that's what I would say, is just look for a company whose employees really vibe with you and give you a good feeling. And those are the kind of companies that you want to work with. Okay, well, my background is in mechanical engineering. I worked in product design and R&D for a few different consumer product brands for a lot of years out of college, almost 10 years. In that time, I started a couple side hustle businesses just with products that I had designed in the motorcycle and automotive space. Devoted a little bit of time to that. And as they started to grow, I started to realize these things can be my full-time gig. They can support me, and it allows me to work in the areas that I'm passionate about. Motorcycles and automotive are my biggest passions. So to get to work on it every day feels like a huge blessing. So I've, since 2014, grown these side businesses from just a small little side income to multiple six-figure income. And I'm able to support myself and do what I love every day. And working with a company like Ad People has enabled me to kind of take a step back from doing some of the more boring day-to-day working on ad campaigns, looking at data, trying to understand these complicated ad platforms, and just allowed me to focus on the design and manufacturing side of the business, which is what I love to do. So I think working with partners like Ad People is invaluable to small business owners who really want to focus on growing the business by creating new products and new services, rather than having to deal with all of the complicated back-end confusing dashboard sort of thing.